What's up, guys? So today I want to talk about this knife right here. I got this a couple hours ago from a viewer. Very nice of them to send this to me to check out. There's one specific reason why. It wasn't just to check out the knife, but there's actually an issue with the swedge. The grind's kind of jacked up. And it was surprising to this person because this knife was brand new out of the box like this. So it's definitely a QC issue. So the point of the video here, not just to talk about this specific knife, but just to kind of ask you guys, as of late, last couple months, last year or so, have you seen any Kershaws or ZTs for that matter that just had issues right out of the packaging? It's pretty rare. I haven't heard many people complain about Kershaw for specific problems. This exact knife, I think, definitely should have been a factory second or should have been scrapped. How it got into a box and was sold, it's fascinating to me. It's not a huge deal to some of you out there, but when I show you the issue here, obviously there's a lot of knife people that'd be like, yeah, it's not cool. It doesn't actually change the performance of the knife in any way. It still works exactly the same, but it's just one of those things, even on a $35 to $40 knife, which is what you would pay for this one, it's still one of those things where you kind of scratch your head and go, hey, that's not right. So we'll talk about that in just a second. But this one, I believe, is the AM4, AM standing for Olmar. They have a couple different variants working with Olmar knives. You can see the logo on the pocket clip here. All right, it says a frame lock. You can see the actual model number for this one is 2330 GRN. All right, again, Olmar designs. This one's in the 8CR13 MOV. The GRN for the green scale here. It is a frame lock. It's interesting to see that there's no, lock stop. You can hyperextend that. The pocket clip kind of grabs onto it at the last second, but you want to be a little careful. If you really yank that, the pocket clip will push out as well, and you probably bend that and you wouldn't have any, lockup anymore. Lockup seems fine though on this one. But yeah, I'm gonna get back to the actual knife at the end here. First, I want to show you the issue here, and that is with this grind. So you look on the front end, right? Then I flip it over. You can see on the back here, it's a little jacked up. Let that focus. You can see right in the bottom here, there's kind of like a little notch. And if I give you a top view, you can see what happened there. This one side, let's call this the back side of the blade, that is a little bit further. They actually, looks like they stopped where it was supposed to be, but then it kind of skipped and took out more metal. So there's a little chunk of metal right there missing. Now, obviously, if you're a perfectionist, this would be a very bad day opening this knife up. I would say there's a good chunk of you out there that probably wouldn't care. It doesn't affect the performance because it is on the swedge here, which is not actually sharpened anyway. But nonetheless, even on a $35 knife, you want it to be like every other version of that knife, right? You don't want to have a specific problem or anything about it. Also, the person who sent this, they did touch it up a little bit, but I also noticed that there's sharpening marks right there on the ricasso, and it's slightly on the other side as well. I don't know if that's from factory or not. And also, it's a little bit hard to tell because the person did touch it up, but this side of the grind, if I can get the light to hit it right, there we go. Notice how wide that is compared to the other side, especially towards the tip. All right, so you can see this side is a little shallower, looks like a steeper angle. I don't know what that did for you. I'm zoomed in so you can't see what I'm doing. But a little bit of a steeper angle, and that looks like a little bit more of a shallow angle. All right, again, not 100% if that's factory or if that's just a touch-up job, but the swedge issue is definitely from factory. And so the big question is that acceptable? If you paid $35 for this knife, would you go, uh-oh, I have a huge problem, I have to contact Kershaw right away? Would you not care? It would be pretty split. Half of you will say, who cares? The other half will say, no, that's not right. But anyway, regardless of that, overall, I really do love this knife. Now this one is assisted, all right? Little flipper on the back, ambidextrous thumb studs. I'm not a huge fan of assisted knives. I mean, back when they first came out, I kind of liked them. It was cool. It was the new, the legal automatic knife. But, it's old news, and that novelty wore off for me many, many years ago. I do prefer a, manual folder as opposed to an assisted knife. I mean, I can, especially a flipper, you can flick it out yourself nice and fast. but it's kind of nor here or there. I don't get excited about them. I don't like hate them or anything. I'm just not a huge fan of them. I do love the deep conceal clip on there. Just a tiny bit of knife poking out when you have that. If you notice, there's no lanyard hole on here. So if you are a lanyard guy, you might not like that. But overall, I've always been a huge fan of Almar knives. I just never had one to review. I've had them personally, but I never got to use one long enough to actually review. I think I had an Eagle at some point. I forget the other model. I might have had two of them over the years, but I never got a chance to actually review them. But when I first heard that they did a collaboration with Kershaw, because this is not like a brand new knife or anything, but I was really excited about it because they were going to give you those, you know, Almar designs, but at a very affordable price tag, you know, having Kershaw make them. So pretty cool. I mean, I still like the knife, even with this, you know, minor issue with the swedge. You know, it still locks up fine with the frame lock here. Oh, something else I wanted to point out as well, and this obviously is from factory, but look at the finish on there. You're missing all that finish. You know, it's kind of weird. The, you know, the locking side has this black finish, and the inside of the frame, it's literally missing. So I don't know what's up with that. Definitely some QC issues with this one. The first thing some might say is, oh, that's not a real one then. Obviously there's all these problems. No, it is genuine. It is a genuine Kershaw knife. It's just they miss these things. I like the open frame here. I love the red standoffs. I think that's pretty cool. Just a nice little touch. You know, overall, I do like the knife. I love the design. The Almar version is even better because you get a better steel, obviously, and a little bit better fit and finish, I would imagine. But yeah, pretty cool knife. Still love it, even with its flaws. But yeah, what is up with that? So the main point of the video, not just to show this particular knife, but it's to ask you guys, you know, what's the deal? Have you had issues with Kershaws lately? Again, last couple months, maybe the last year or so as a whole. Have you gotten Kershaws and there's been issues? Have there been blade play out of the box? Has there been, you know, stripped heads on screws? Do you have funky grinds going on? Because something definitely happened. This is either a, what do they say, a Friday knife or a Monday knife? Friday night when workers are doing their work, they're excited to leave and go home. And then of course, Monday morning, it's like, oh, here comes another work week. So yeah, it's an old saying when you get something, you know, from a factory that's kind of jacked up. There's either a Friday afternoon job or a Monday morning job. But either way, someone was definitely not paying attention or doing their job with this. It's not a huge hit on Kershaw as a whole because I've always liked them. Kershaw has been, to me, like CRKT, like Gerber in some respects. They're just companies that have a lot of affordable designs. They work with a lot of makers. They do a lot of collaborations. So someone who normally wouldn't be able to afford, you know, the Almar version of this knife, now you have something that you can actually afford to buy and test out the design. And if you really like it, then you go for, you know, the more expensive version. But yeah, I love that. I love companies that put out, you know, some of you guys anyway would call them cheap knives. I love cheap knives. Cheap is not really a good descriptive word. Cheap, you know, financially, but not always cheap in quality. This one happens to be a little bit extra cheap. So, hey, you know, it is what it is. Nothing's perfect. Now, just to throw it out there, I've seen mess ups and QC issues with all kinds of knives across the board. You name it. Spyderco, I've seen them mess up. I've seen Benchmade mess up, Cold Steel. You know, it's just what they do with that. If you contact them and say, hey, this is screwed up, are they going to help you out? Kershaw, yeah, I'm sure. I'm pretty sure that they would help you out. I know Cold Steel, since I mentioned them, they take all their factory seconds, knives that would have minor issues, and they have a big old tent sale, a sidewalk sale every year. That's how they get rid of their, you know, knives that have little issues here and there. They're still very functional. I remember back in the day, totally unrelated, but if you're a Balisong person, they had the Archangel. And I remember, God, do I regret not getting in on this, but they had Archangel seconds for $99. And the only thing that was wrong with them was the logo was a little bit too low. So when they etched the logos on the blades, it was slightly covered on the bottom by the handle. I mean, holy moly, that's a $400 knife right now, if you had a couple of them. Even the factory seconds would probably sell for at least $250, $300, if not more, because it's collectible, right? A little rare. Something that goes wrong sometimes ends up making that knife a little bit more expensive because they are more rare. But regardless, factory seconds, that's a thing. It's a thing that companies do to still be able to sell those products at, you know, obviously a discounted price because there's little issues, but they usually don't affect their performance. Like this knife will work just fine with a messed up grind on this wedge. It's not going to change anything. But anyway, just wanted to bring that to you. If you have this particular knife, like I said, this one's about $35 to $40, this exact configuration, but there's other versions of this. This black one, I think it's like $30 on Amazon. So I want to call it about a $30 to $35 knife. I think it's totally worth it, even if they all had messed up, you know, swedge grinds. It's not a big deal to me. I'm all about the function. However, there is always a part of me that is about the form. And that would bother me just slightly that the grind's messed up, you know, but whatever. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. So thanks for watching. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you soon. Take care.